Yeah, you could. Down to the whatever the core would be, I guess.
Yeah.
Is the core of your planet Megama?
I don't know. I'm assuming so.
Right.
But you know what they say about assuming.
We should ask that of you and me.
Yep.
Oh, trust. That one all too well. I had a English teacher tell me that in senior year, and I have lived, I've used it ever since, constantly.
Metallica, right? Channels dark power to oh.
Okay, so we got a backup battery for a flash. Gun case with a gun in it.
You're taking those upgrades, right?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I even took the Lego right upgrade, which really isn't an upgrade. It's kind of a shit in the foot grade.
Well, yeah, but have you gotten both right and left?
No, not yet.
Ooh, 7.
Doesn't look like I'm gonna do it this time either.
Well, for reference, it's a trio of items.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
It's left, right, and I want to say that one's the clock.
Oh, the lancet, yeah.
And then the gold and silver rings are a trio as well, with the laurel.
Yeah, I think that's right. Sounds right.
But they're so stupidly overpowered. It's definitely worth taking the curse.
Oh, yeah. How's Sean Patrick Richards do? Hey, he's got 227 subscribers now.
Okay.
Why am I scrolling down through? You go to popular.
Dun dun dun, who they win?
Dude, which is a 5-minute video. 700, okay. Dude, the schizo one from April is still
Bill Riser.
up there. Good for him. Okay. Let's see here. I need to. This first. Some more MXM tune.
Because I don't believe in God, but I'm learning how to pray anyway. Hey, but I do believe in something. I just don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but I hope that it exists. So
Oh, my bad, Grant. I didn't see that guy.
that I've never called my own. I look
You're good. You're good. I got it pretty quickly. It was like within less than a minute. um.
This is Joshua Block. If you don't already know him, you'd be forgiven for thinking he just escaped from a mental asylum. However, he's actually a very popular content creator, with his World of T-Shirts TikTok account boasting 2.6 million followers. A man of many talents, he solidified his standing in the public consciousness through hard work and shrewd hustling. At least that's probably what he believes. The truth is that Joshua may be the only person who takes himself even slightly seriously. Ever since his unorthodox jump to stardom.
Oh yeah, I should probably give some context to this video. This is a good synopsis video of World of T-Shirts. If anybody remembers that lovely character.
Yeah, for a sec.
From the Mr. Based stream where he made Leffy really, really fucking uncomfortable.
Okay, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, Josh was the one that was not being weird and creepy towards Leffy. So.
He's worked overtime to erode every bit of goodwill his initial fans may have had for him, be it due to his violent outburst against a fish, the fact that many people take issue with him charging fans for photos, or having a smidge too much love for the bottle. This has resulted in him securing an audience hell-bent on seeing him completely self-destruct. But how did it come to this? What's the story behind the downfall of TikTok's newest lolcow? If you're one to believe websites like Wikitubia and Know Your Meme, you'll find that Joshua had uploaded his first ever video on September 22nd, 2020. And in fact, you'll see this repeated in multiple other places. But the story of Joshua and his channel go back further than that, all the way back to June of 2019, when the then 17-year-old first started uploading videos. For a while, he would continue uploading them to minimal views, doing so simply for fun, until he finally got his big break in October of that year, which was a video of him eating crickets.
Yo, exotic food check.
It was with this initial success that the starstruck Joshua began to take TikTok much more seriously. You see, ever since he was rather young, Josh had always dreamed of being self-employed, and he realized that TikTok was his golden ticket to boss mode. He would go on to do everything in his power to capitalize on this in the short term, to very mixed success, with a lot of his videos from then.
I gotta say, TikTok is like Brett, special type of locale, and different, so many new types brought new characters into the arena. It's fantastic.
2020 getting 4-digit views. But despite the low amount of attention, the few popular uploads he did have would be enough for him to slowly build a niche community drawn to the channel by his bizarre behavior. The best example of this is definitely his lip sync videos, which were some of his most popular content at the time. Take this one, in which he mouths the lyrics of My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion. Except mouthing may not be the right term here, as a more apt description might be that he's flapping his jaw like an upside down trash can in rhythm to the song's lyrics. Or take this example, where he laments the terribleness of the year 2020 by lip-syncing Happy New Year by Studio 99. Both of these demonstrate a rather peculiar quality of Josh, one that could be argued to have been the initial thing that drew people in: his distinct lack of facial expressions. In the second video, despite talking about the death of someone important enough to him to make a whole TikTok out of it, he remains completely deadpan, with his eyes barely even moving throughout. It didn't take a genius to understand that there was something special about Josh, from his odd mannerisms to his very stilted delivery. This resulted in most of the growing fan base being composed of people who just made fun of him, seeing him in the same light as any other TikTok lolcow. But that was all Josh needed. And as his notoriety slowly increased, his videos would start getting a fair bit more views, with numerous uploads getting in excess of 100k hits, and some of them even got 200k. Staying true to his form, these were extremely varied, everything from videos about the pandemic to random goofs to even more lip syncs. Of course, while it's easy for us to see that his main draw was the fact he was basically a laughingstock, it doesn't really seem Josh had caught on to that fact, because as he became more and more popular, he began looking for other avenues avenues of potential growth. This would lead to him creating a YouTube channel by the name of World of Interviews on April 8th, 2020. Nothing's really known about this channel, as the only things you'll find on it are 2 videos with our titular hero. One of them is a short where he introduces us to what the channel is all about.
Welcome to World of Interviews, a YouTube channel where we do podcast interviews with famous TikTokers. Discover your favorite celebrities today.
The second video is a 5-minute interview with the man himself, conducted by some random person who I haven't actually found anything about at all. The video reveals some interesting facts. For one, Josh shares with us that he had first downloaded the TikTok app in 2019 and that he had started uploading on it around August. He mentions how by September he fell in love with TikTok, and by October he became TikTok famous in his own words. He also went on to share with us that he had 240,000 followers at this point in time. He then says he's in the top 10,000 on famous birthdays, which as far as I can tell is correct. When asked what exactly he owes this success to, he credits the fact that his uploads tend to be varied, as opposed to, you know, the actual reason people were watching him, which seems to be completely over his head.
I do variety videos. Most people on the app only stick to one thing.
Throughout the interview, he presents this YouTube channel as a guaranteed cash cow, planning to use his TikTok success and the success of other large TikTok creators he would interview to launch his YouTube channel into orbit. There wasn't much more to the interview besides the fact he once again mentions how he's still in high school at this point. For context, he was born August 7th, 2001, which would have made him 18 years old. We'll get deeper into the implications of this a bit later, but keep that tucked in your noggin. This concludes with a few more TikToks made by Joshua, which are about the same quality as you would expect, with his signature still to delivery. Overall, the whole video was pretty boring, which is enough of an explanation for why it never really took off. Besides being confused on whether the interview was shot by Joshua or the interviewer, most people were far more interested in the mysterious figure standing in Joshua's doorway in the first half of the video. Questions about it were completely unanswered for the time being. Regardless, the channel was very quickly abandoned for reasons that should be obvious enough to anyone. But that didn't mean he was done experimenting with content. In September of 2020, he would once again attempt to diversify his audience by creating a secondary TikTok account called the Starbucks Club, which in his own words was a channel meant purely for people who drank Starbucks, as explained thoroughly across the first 3 videos on his channel. While the channel definitely had more of that unique Joshua flair than the YouTube, it seems he would abandon it pretty quickly after not finding success. Joshua is extremely familiar with the sunk cost fallacy. But there was some good news. While the side projects were a miserable failure, the World of T-Shirts channel was doing pretty well, so Josh continued to upload on it consistently. But at this point he was still quite unknown, with his fan base being very insulated. All of this would change on the hallowed day of September 22nd, with the upload of a quaint little video in which he mouths the lyrics to some parody song, staying true to form by looking like the main character of Ride to Hell Retribution. Now, this video is actually not that remarkable in terms of views, as at this point, he would be getting 200,000 views pretty regularly, but it does serve as a split-off point between obscurity and his sudden rise to fame. Because you see, at this point, the sky was the limit for our friend with the steely gaze, and he started uploading hundreds upon hundreds of videos to his TikTok channel every single month, with a number of them scoring very solid views, including this oddball duet where he humorously judges an obvious joke TikTok. But the real difference came as September ended, when he finally broke the 200,000 view roof he had been confined to for so long, with an upload on the 2nd of October. This video was dedicated to enlightening his viewers about the facts that pandemics happen roughly every 100 years, listing a couple of plagues going about 300 years back, and managing to actually get 2 million views for this informative piece. Just a few days later, however, he would go on to beat this record with a video where he painted his tongue 2 different colors with the use of some gummies, helpfully explaining to us the entire process.
So these will change the color of your tongue permanently for weeks.
Permanently for weeks.
And wait 10 minutes.
How that works, buddy?
It's not coming off. Shit.
This video shattered his previous record from just a few days prior with 10 million views. His before insulated audience had now expanded, as millions of unaware and very confused normies were exposed to the world of t-shirts, expressing a mix of sheer befuddlement and amusement in the comments. With videos like these and many, many more, his whole channel exploded, getting 4 times the followers in October compared to what he got in September. He had become a veritable normie magnet, as his content became ever present on TikTok front pages. However, while all this success was certainly nothing to scoff at, this was merely a precursor for what was to come, as our eternally ambitious main hero would not be satisfied with just filming himself at home being utterly asinine. So at the tail end of 2020, he would dedicate his time into a slightly different kind of content, music. Josh announced his first song in November of 2020, set to be released on the 1st of December. He announced it in much the same way you would probably expect from him at this point, sounding perhaps even more deadpan than he usually does.
Yeah, this is
pretty impressive.
This is
I'm
the
releasing a song on
this is a set of world t-shirts we've seen before, but just in a Christmas
It's
version.
very short. It's only about a minute long, but it's all about COVID. Since I have Select, it'll go to TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, and a whole lot of other platforms. Be ready. It'll be coming.
Indeed, Josh would grace us with the release of his song on Spotify, and frankly, it's a beauty. During the 47-second runtime, he reminds us of just how good he had it in 2019, and how as soon as we entered
40
2020, our whole world
seconds?
came crashing down.
I remember 2019, living our best lives. New Year's Eve came along, looking forward to 2020. It marked the new decade. Everything was fine till March. Toilet paper shortage, quarantine, masks, social distancing, no job.
He actually put out the 12 Days of Christmas single.
No
Nice.
school, no nothing. Lockdown.
And
Everything
that came out in September.
Oh no.
When did this
This
one come
artful
out?
piece would end up netting him around 65,000 listeners
Yeah.
on Spotify. Without
Earlier
initial
this month.
success, Josh saw there was a potential for his music. So only a month later, he announced a new song on the
how
31st
many
of December,
plays?
while he danced joyfully to
Hey.
a small excerpt.
He's got 25K plus plays of this already.
For the song itself, it would also be
Only a
released on
minute and
Spotify. And if you thought
4
the last
minutes
one was
and
life-changing, then
4
you're not
minutes and
prepared for what I'm about to show you. It
4
was a love
seconds.
ballad dedicated to, as the name suggests, coffee and boba tea.
Wake up in the morning, throw some clothes on, check my phone, run out the door. Where do I go? Of course, to get some coffee and some boba tea.
The song would end up doing better numbers on Spotify, getting around 130,000 hits.
Jesus.
Seeing the monumental success, Josh felt inclined to truly capitalize. He created his own website, registering it under the domain worldoftshirts.com on the 1st of February, later being changed to worldoftshirts.ai. The website serves a few purposes, advertising his music and selling his merch, which contains various memes and in-jokes from his community. But it's at this point that Joshua shifts his TikTok content pretty much entirely. And on the 14th of March 2021, already a few months after his initial blow-up, he uploaded a video of himself standing in Times Square, loudly singing Empire State of Mind by Jay-Z, specifically the part sung by Alicia Keys, all while surrounded by a crowd of bemused onlookers.
In New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made
So silly.
of. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York.
This got him over 30
Okay,
million
just adding
views, setting the stage for
my
exactly the
updated
kind of
Switch
content we would
games
expect.
list.
He was no longer
I'm
creating
now at
content from the confines of his
757
home.
games.
Instead, he was making the exact same thing, but out on the streets of New York. Which
Yeah,
made it even
that's
funnier
a
because you
big
got to see
number.
bystanders in the background look at him like, what the f are you doing? It's with this shift in location that our protagonist would reach the peak of popularity, gaining 640,000 followers in March alone. His videos were getting millions of views, and his streams were attended by
What?
tens of thousands of people. While it's hard to say if he made any money, it probably wasn't nothing. It shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that this new style of content wouldn't just attract a lot of attention from online fans, but also people in real life who would regularly go on to meet him in public while he was filming. With such a recognizable appearance and cadence,
stream
it was pretty
snipers.
hard to miss. Now, to most regular
Yeah,
people, I'm sure
I
the
would
idea
imagine.
of constantly being harassed by fans doesn't sound that appealing, but for Josh, this was a catastrophe, one he wouldn't respond to in the healthiest manner. He would begin charging his fans $50 for the privilege of taking a photo with him, with multiple videos being released. of him
$50?
basically
What?
demanding money from fans. Of these, perhaps the most popular is a video of him in Central Park, where a fan pays him to sing a song, with Josh looking even more dead-eyed than usual.
Yeah, New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York.
The response to this was very mixed.
Jesus,
While the
that was
YouTube
weird
video that
looking.
first shared this moment largely sided with Josh, there were other people in his own community who were baffled. This would culminate in his fans asking him why he charges people on a TikTok live stream. There, he would give a rather interesting response.
I charge my fans for photos because if I just take their picture, they're gonna get famous quickly for nothing.
Of course, it's his prerogative to charge or not
Like you
charge
get-
people for photos. I mean, if he tells them ahead of time, hey, you gotta pay me
Yeah,
to take a picture,
people-
do it, it's whatever. I'm just curious what what the
That's something that we tend to see is they just don't understand how disconnected that comes off.
Oh, wait,
response
that's
even
how I
means.
got it.
Like, if you want money, say because I want money. Instead, it's they'll get famous quickly for nothing.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Despite this, he would
Just
actually
say
catch some
you
flack
need
from his
money.
fans, as many of them view this habit of his as proof that he only sees his fans as a source of income. People especially took issue with his comment about how he doesn't just want people blowing up in popularity for free, which they saw as him pulling up the ladder. That said, plenty of people still defend this practice, saying that part of why he likely does that is to dissuade random people from constantly approaching him. And the charging simply means that the only people he may get approached by are actual fans, at least in theory. It is worth noting he would later drop these prices, only charging $10 for pictures and $20 for videos. Of course,
good.
this didn't
That's
actually
smart.
stop people from taking pictures and videos of him in
Guys, don't tell
If anything, this
Joshua.
only further emboldened them to sneakily try to video him and then upload those videos to their own TikToks, with some of these going downright viral. A TikTok user by the name of Fern would upload a video of Joshua walking down the street, making fun of his amusing stride. But none of this ever got in the way of his monumental rise in popularity. In fact, as time went on, it seems a lot of people did genuinely start to root for him beyond just treating him as a lolcow. Even if many of the fans were intent on making fun of him, no one really thought of him as like a negative guy or an evil person. He was just someone who was kind of silly and funny to watch.
Which
But
is
his
what I
greatest
was
moment
saying
was yet
last
to come.
time.
It was a short while after the charging fans incident that he would
hey, yo.
orchestrate what many view as the high point of
Huh.
You will sit down
Oh.
right
his
now.
entire career. On the
Oh.
23rd of May,
Okay, no,
2021,
you're
just a
fine.
few months after
I
the
just
show
was- I
last
thought you were trying to get my
average fans
attention
in Times
to
Square for
pause
a
it or
unique
something.
event, when one of the billboards began to show an advertisement for his channel, while he called himself the King of the Concrete Jungle. For anybody who's curious, a spot in Times Square could run you as little as $5,000 per day to as much as $50,000 per day depending on the ad and the length. Around this time, he would also do a small collaboration with a sizable YouTube channel called Side Talk, which focuses on interviewing people they meet while walking the streets. During this video, Josh does another rendition of the song that propelled him to stardom, gives a spicy hot take about school lunches, and charges one of the people present $25 for a photo. Notably, the video also includes one of the first, if not the first, use of a meme that will become rather popular on his channel, wherein he tells viewers that he's wearing Louis Vuitton because he was banned from Gucci. Overall, this first interview ended up being pretty successful,
That's
netting them
kinda funny.
600,000 views and a pretty positive reception from commenters, who took the time to poke a little fun and also said that him only charging $25 was a blessing. The interview was so successful that Side Talk made another one just a few weeks later, where Josh
Ridiculous.
once again wowed the crowd with his on-screen presence, and when told that 6ix9ine claimed the title of King of New York, Josh bluntly asserts that he is in fact the true king.
What do you want to say to 6ix9ine right now? He claims to be the king of New York.
I'm the king of New York. 6ix9ine is not the king. I am. I'm out here with no security because security's for quitters. I'm Moneybag Josh.
Just like last time, this one
Moneybag
blew up,
Josh.
albeit not as much. Following the success of these interviews, an unaffiliated song artist by the name of Felix Cartal would make the banned from the Gucci store meme into a song, which, in fairness to the artist, is
Huh?
Well, I'm assuming I can't smell your butt, so I'm asking.
miles better than anything Josh has ever
That's
produced.
fair,
Overall,
okay.
despite this early hiccup with charging fans money, he used his time in the spotlight pretty well. And while many people did view him as more of a laughingstock than a genuine content creator, he had enough genuine viewers watching to get by. Around this time, he also began getting the attention of mainstream media, with online publications beginning to take
Why
notice.
is he so
One of these would
obsessed
be
with New
posted on an
York?
internet news outlet called The Tab, in which the author would do a little deep dive on some of his history, including the controversy of demanding payments. They also brought up a very interesting claim, showing what the author believes to be an older TikTok account of Joshua's, and how around that time it had been reactivated, posting a very questionable meme. Hello, base department, gonna need you guys to come down here. Now I should note that while it's interesting to ponder, it's very unlikely Josh would ever post something like this.
Yikers.
For one, whenever he attempts to do humor, it's extremely different in comparison, and for two, there's a high likelihood he might not even be interested in that sort of stuff, at least if Reddit detectives are to be believed, referring to a screenshot of a dating app called Grindr on his home screen, as well as an interesting little clip where he suggests that he had been banned from the app. Regardless, while this article made some leaps of logic, it was arguably just one more notch in Joshua's belt, proving just how solidly he had made himself part of mainstream culture by then. Unfortunately, things went sour pretty quickly after. Around early June, sometime prior to the second Side Talk video, Josh got together with a random fan, and the two decided to do some fishing in the Hudson River. While things started off innocent enough, they quickly turned into something far more sinister, when upon successfully catching a bluegill and pulling it out of the water, Josh proceeded to throw it on the ground forcefully and stomp on it like the lead singer of Sabaton, all while bearing the happiest smile I think I've
Oh
ever
my
seen.
god. Jesus.
The reason he gives in the video for being this brutal is he justifies it by saying a fish shouldn't spend time in such dirty water, ostensibly making this stomping action an act of mercy. After that, he continues to throw the fish on the ground repeatedly without saying a word, letting out a demented giggle. This understandably wouldn't go unnoticed, as the video quickly made
Him and a friend went fishing, and when they caught a fish, and they when they were leaving, he threw the fish on the ground repeatedly and then stomped on it, and like didn't say anything. Yeah, I know. And Nikki even was like, "What the fuck?" Came out of like heavy lurk and like, "What?"
waves around TikTok.
That's wild. I did not know about that.
It would also
That's
be uploaded to r/public
so strange.
where it got quite a bit more attention, with hundreds of comments
Unsettlingly
asking how a
strange.
person could do such a cruel thing. Largely, they wondered what kind of mental disorder he was suffering from that would convince him this was a good idea, or, you know, make him enjoy this. Well, it's hard to track just how large the backlash against him was at the time. It was clearly bad enough to where Josh felt the need to respond to it, which he would do in a now-deleted TikTok. He defended himself by saying that the fish was already dead, which in his mind made it far less serious than it previously appeared. He also complained about how it had been filmed without his permission, as the fan had not actually paid him to record.
Okay, so a lot of people are upset about a leaked video of me stomping on a fish. First of all, the fish was already dead. The person who recorded me without my permission. They didn't pay the cameo, so they weren't even supposed to record me, but they posted it to
I don't think that matters.
so that they would have an
like,
excuse to try and cancel me. I did not kill anything. The fish was already dead.
Given the original had been deleted, we can probably assume it was not well received by the public. The re-upload I showed was released around the same time as this whole drama was occurring, and the comment section is pretty much all disapproval, going as far as to suggest his behavior was a clear example of animal abuse, which can be a telling sign of a potential serial killer. The other, more rational commenters focus on the fact that he doesn't seem to even understand why what he'd done was wrong in the first place.
Which is strange, unsettling too.
Which is telling.
Yeah, it's concerning. Even if it's dead, why would you do that? What do you gain from that? Yeah, you shouldn't gain anything from it. It's very strange. It's very gross. It's just, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, not as big as it was in other places. You had some relatively large YouTubers like Mitchell Reacts covering it. Right around the time this fish video was released, the explosive growth of Joshua's TikTok stopped altogether. Although whether this is because of the drama he was finding himself in, or simply because people had lost interest, can't be said for certain. What can be said for certain is that same month, Josh went on to achieve something quite important in his personal life. He graduated from high school. Many viewers made note of the fact he was almost 20 at the time of graduation, which confirms he was held back at least a year. But despite the minor bit of good news, Josh wasn't quite done with June. While doing a TikTok livestream in a hotel room, he was doxxed live on air as he received a call on the room's landline saying exactly where he was located at the time. Understandably, this led to a bit of a freak out on his end as he spun about the room like a chicken with his head cut off. This whole situation escalated even further when at some point Josh was kicked out of the hotel entirely after the supposed doxer had convinced the hotel staff that he'd made a bomb threat. The interaction he has with the fan who recorded the video ends up being pretty amusing, as even with a stressful situation, Josh is still committed to the hustle, accepting $50 for giving the fan a privilege to film. But that wasn't quite the end of it, as the whole fish stomping incident began to pop up again, but not in the way you might think. People began to mass flag the World of T-Shirts TikTok account, which led to a temp ban in late July. As a result, he brought the Starbucks Club channel back to life and uploaded a teary-eyed apology where he begged for his account to be unbanned, giving a more thorough explanation of the bluegill bonanza.
Okay, I'm sorry about the fish. It was a wrong thing for me to do, to stomp that fish. Please, just get me my account back. It was my livelihood and they just took it away.
This clip actually can't be found on TikTok anymore, although we can't exactly be sure why that is. If I were a betting man, then I'd bet my money on it being pretty poorly received, given he sounds less apologetic and more whiny than anything. Meanwhile, on YouTube, this situation wasn't exactly covered extensively, but I did find one pretty interesting development. The most popular video available about the subject was made by a fairly large TikToker by the name of Curly Daddy 101. He would release a video discussing the topic on a small YouTube channel, which includes the now deleted apology. In it, CD claims to be a friend of Joshua's, although he doesn't